Okay, so we're about to go somewhere dark. We're stepping into one of the most brutal landscapes ever put to paper, a 19th century Siberian prison seen through the eyes of a man who actually lived it. In his incredible semi-autobiographical novel, The House of the Dead, Fyodor Dostoevsky gives us something much more than a story. He gives us a testimony, a record of what happens to people at the absolute edge of human endurance.
Just listen to that line. Here, there was no resemblance to anything. He's telling you right away, forget everything you think you know. This place, it's not just a prison. It's something else entirely. It's what he calls the House of Living Death.
Right, so what does that even mean, a house of living death? What does it look like, feel like? Well, Dostoevsky takes us by the hand and pulls us inside this sealed-off world. He shows us, step by agonizing step, exactly how you build a place designed to just crush a person's soul.
Think about the first thing you see, a courtyard, but it's fenced in by this massive wall made of 1,500 wooden stakes. Just a fence, right? No. Dostoevsky tells us about this one convict. His only hobby, if you can even call it that, was counting them. For him, every single one of those 1,500 stakes was a day of his sentence. Can you imagine that? It's like a calendar made of pure misery.
And once you get inside that fence, oh, it gets so much worse. We're talking 2 long, low barracks where you're just crammed in, herded like animals, and locked in every single night for years. And the air. Dostoevsky calls it a poisonous vapor. Just think about that. The smell of unwashed bodies, the ragged clothes, shaved heads, and the constant sound of chains rattling. It wasn't a home. It was like a warehouse for human souls.
But for a guy like Dostoevsky, a writer, a deep thinker, the absolute worst part wasn't the dirt or even the hard labor. It was this: the total, complete annihilation of privacy. Working, eating, sleeping, always surrounded by 200 other people. For 10 years, not one single minute alone. That kind of psychological pressure, it's a whole other level of torture.
So, you've got the physical prison, right? The walls, the barracks. But inside those walls, a whole new society starts to form. And believe me, it was a bizarre, complicated world. A society of the damned, with its own unspoken rules, its own strange heroes, and, of course, its own monsters.
And the people in there, the range of humanity is just mind-boggling. You've got guys like Ali, a young man so innocent and good that he would literally cry with joy reading the Sermon on the Mount. A real beacon of light. And then, in the very same room, you have Gazin. Dostoevsky describes him as a gigantic spider, a monster who actually took pleasure in torturing children. You have near sainthood and pure evil breathing the exact same foul air.
And the way they all lived together, it was weird. They were these unspoken rules. For one, nobody showed any shame or remorse. Instead, they had this strange kind of dignity. Insulting each other was like an art form. If you were clever with your words, you got respect. You'd think there'd be constant brawls, right? Nope. Physical fights were actually pretty rare. But you know what wasn't rare? Stuff like loan sharking. Convicts lending money to other desperate prisoners at insane interest rates. It's like their whole moral compass was just broken and reassembled backwards.
So when you're living in a place like this upside-down world, it forces you to ask some pretty big questions. Dostoevsky really starts to dig into the whole idea of punishment. What's it all for? What does it actually do to a person's soul?
And that's a question we're still asking today, isn't it? What is the real purpose of punishment? Is it about correcting someone? Is it about revenge? Dostoevsky's take on this, especially when it comes to work and labor, it's absolutely stunning.
So check this out. He realizes that the thing that truly breaks a person isn't hard work. People can handle hard work. No, the worst possible punishment is pointless work. You can have a convict build a wall or make bricks, and they can find some satisfaction in it. But he says if you force a man to do something completely meaningless, like pouring water from one bucket into another and then back again over and over, that man will go insane. He'd probably commit murder or kill himself within days, because without purpose, without meaning, the soul just withers and dies.
And let's not forget the raw, physical violence of the place. Dostoevsky talks about a guy who survived getting hit with 4,000 strokes from rods. 4,000! And the prisoners, they were like grim experts on pain. They all agreed that the rods were the worst. Not because they broke bones or tore flesh the most. No, it was because they were designed to, and I quote,
irritate the nervous system beyond measure. It was a punishment aimed directly at your very nerves.
But, and this is so important, even in this hell on earth, this place designed from the ground up to break people, it couldn't. The human spirit just refused to die. And these are maybe the most powerful parts of the whole book, these little moments, these sparks of light in the overwhelming dark.
He noticed how the convicts were kind of like children. They'd get so excited about these wild rumors. And they knew, deep down, the news was probably fake, but they didn't care. They would just grab on to that sliver of hope with everything they had, because just the feeling of hope, even for a moment, was a form of survival.
And that hope fueled some absolutely incredible creativity. For Christmas, get this, the convicts put on a play. They built an entire theater out of scrap. The curtain was made of old sheets and bandages. They made their own instruments, guitars, violins. And for a few hours, the entire prison, convicts and guards alike, just sat there, captivated. In that moment, they weren't prisoners. They were just people enjoying a show.
And you'd see it in smaller ways too, little acts of tenderness. There was a prison goat named Vaska, and these hardened criminals would decorate him with flowers like a pet. And most movingly, they found a wounded eagle. They took care of it, they nursed it back to health, and then they set it free. And as they watched it soar away, they spoke the one word that was always on their minds: freedom.
And really, that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? That's the heart of this entire book. Every miserable detail, every unexpected moment of joy, it all points back to this one huge, burning question.
Dostoevsky points out something really smart here. He says the hope of a prisoner is totally different from the hope of a free person. If you're free, your hope is connected to things you can actually do. But for the convict, hope is just this impossible, abstract dream, completely disconnected from the reality of their buried existence. It's like the ghost of a life. So in the end, this whole harrowing experience, this journey into the house of the dead, it's not just a book about suffering. It's about what's left of us when everything else is stripped away. And for Dostoevsky, surviving that place wasn't the end of his story. No, it was the beginning. The beginning of a lifelong quest to answer that one essential question: what does it truly mean to be free?